When you think about power, what comes to mind? Is it authority, money, or a booming, confident voice? Most of us picture power as something obvious, something you can see and hear from a mile away. But the truth is, the most influential forms of power are often invisible. They operate in the quiet spaces of human interaction, in subtle gestures, emotional signals, and the way we respond to tension. This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding the ancient, hardwired psychology that governs our social lives. Long before we built cities and corporations, human survival depended on social hierarchy. Our ancestors lived in groups, and those groups naturally organized themselves around influence and leadership. Some individuals took on dominant roles, guiding decisions and protecting the tribe, while others adapted by observing, following, and supporting. Over thousands of years, our brains evolved to become incredibly skilled at navigating these dynamics. We developed an internal radar that is constantly scanning our environment, asking, who is in charge here? Who holds the influence and where do I fit in? This evaluation happens automatically, often in the first few seconds of entering a room, and it's not based on job titles or wealth. It's based on a collection of tiny, almost imperceptible signals. For example, the way someone maintains eye contact. Do they hold your gaze calmly or do they look away nervously? How do they respond to a disagreement? Do they become defensive and loud or do they listen thoughtfully before speaking? Even the speed of their speech matters. Someone who speaks slowly and deliberately often projects more authority than someone who rushes their words, as if they're afraid of being interrupted. We often associate confidence with control, and that's partly true. But real power, the kind that naturally draws people in, isn't always about being the strongest or the loudest. It's often rooted in emotional stability. Think about it. In any tense situation, who do you look to? It's the person who remains calm. Their composure sends a powerful, non-verbal message. I am not threatened by this. The human brain interprets that calmness as security and strength. We are instinctively drawn to people who seem to have things under control, not because they are dominating others, but because their stability makes us feel safer. Their emotional steadiness creates a center of gravity that others naturally orbit. Another fascinating and somewhat counterintuitive form of power comes from unpredictability. When someone's reactions aren't easily guessed, others pay much closer attention to them. Our brains are wired to focus on uncertainty. If we know exactly how someone will react, we can relax and tune out. But if their response is a mystery, we watch them more carefully, trying to figure them out. This heightened attention, even if it's unintentional, can create a powerful aura of influence. The person becomes a focal point, not through force, but simply by keeping others slightly off balance. Silence can be one of the most potent tools in this dynamic. In conversation, we're used to a certain rhythm, a back-and-forth flow. When someone breaks that rhythm by pausing before they respond, it creates a vacuum. This brief moment of silence can feel uncomfortable for others. They might rush to fill the void, start fidgeting, or even revise what they just said. The person who is comfortable with that silence effectively controls the emotional pace of the conversation. They signal that they are not in a hurry, that they are thinking deeply, and that their response is worth waiting for. This simple act of pausing can shift the entire dynamic of an interaction. Interestingly, most people who wield this kind of influence aren't doing it on purpose. It emerges naturally from their internal state. People who are genuinely comfortable with themselves, who aren't seeking constant approval, project a sense of stability. Others unconsciously pick up on this and respond to it. They feel more at ease around them, they trust their judgment more, and they give their words more weight. Influence, in this sense, is an echo of inner security. On the flip side, many of us unknowingly give away our own power every single day. We do it in small, seemingly insignificant ways. We rush to fill every moment of silence because it feels awkward. We immediately jump to explain and defend ourselves at the slightest hint of criticism. We soften our opinions or quickly agree with the group to avoid friction. Each of these behaviors sends a signal of emotional uncertainty. It tells the brains of those around us that we feel insecure or threatened. And that perception, fair or not, changes how they respond to us. They might start to subconsciously dismiss our ideas or overlook our contributions. None of this is to say that humans are cold, calculating social strategists, constantly plotting to gain an edge. These are ancient, automatic patterns etched into our psychology by millions of years of evolution. Our brains aren't trying to be manipulative. They're just trying to keep us safe by figuring out the social landscape. They are constantly searching for signals that indicate safety, leadership, and instability. Ultimately, real power isn't about controlling other people. It's about controlling your own reactions. The ability to remain centered and calm in moments of pressure or uncertainty fundamentally changes how you are perceived. It changes whether people lean in to listen or tune you out. It changes how they respond to your ideas, your presence, and your influence. Understanding these hidden dynamics doesn't mean you have to go out and try to dominate every interaction. In fact, the goal is the opposite. It's about becoming aware of the subtle currents of influence that shape our daily lives. Once you start to see these patterns, your social world transforms. The small signals people send back and forth, the pauses, the eye contact, the shifts in posture suddenly become visible. You begin to understand the unspoken language of human connection. And you'll realize that the most profound form of power isn't force or authority, but awareness. Thank you for watching. If you found this insightful, consider subscribing for more explorations into the human mind.